Good afternoon and happy Wednesday, everyone. It's 12:15. You know what that means, the Orlando Homeowner Show. And I'm excited because it is February, which kicks off our investor month. And we are doing it today with a good friend of mine. Way back in the 10 years I've been doing real estate, this guy sat right next to me in the bullpen figuring out deals back when the average price point was $97,000. Can you imagine that? Yet it didn't stop him. He's still flipping houses. So we're going to talk with Tuan Trinh on what his strategy is to flip houses and how you can take the same strategies and principles and flip a house even in this real estate market. I don't have my music ready. Here we go. And what is up, Tuan Trinh? How are you, man?
Can you hear me?
I hear you well. The real estate ninja, he put it on there. There's kind of, as I think of ninja, I think of the utility knife. You kind of do all sorts of different things. We were just talking real quick of, you don't see yourself necessarily as a real estate agent. You're more of just a real estate guru. You've got some flips, some holds, and representing people buying and sell and hit their goals and what they're want to do. So thanks for joining on and sharing some of your wisdom and insight.
Thanks for having me, Rick. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, speaking of the weather, yesterday was Groundhog Day. So if you want to talk about the season, we're going to talk about flipping houses. I know that you do it pretty regularly. You've got a model that you look for. You have systems that you look for. And at the end of the day, in our conversations that we've had, it's zero emotion. You can make a decision pretty quick. So we're going to help the viewers, the listeners, if they want to get in the flipping game. Number one, what about this market right now is advantageous for flipping? What about it is difficult? When you find a house that's a candidate to flip and to make a profit, what makes the candidate? So that's kind of what we're looking for, is just to have that real intro level conversation, but we can go as deep as we want and keep it raw. We are on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So if we get any comments on there, if anyone out there wants to ask a specific question to Tuan or myself, please do so, and we'll do the best we can to answer it for you. So Tuan, let's start from the beginning of February 2021, Orlando. Inventory is low, rates are low, price points are going up an average of 4 to 9% in different areas. Experts have alluded that we are due for a shift, yet inventory keeps saying no. Pandemic couldn't keep us down. Prices are still going up. Interest rates are staying low. This is what I've been hearing. So first off, do you agree with that the market a year from now will have a higher price point than it is right now?
So, I mean,
a very long question. I apologize for that.
That is a 35-minute answer question. But here's my thought on it, right? So everybody wants to time the market. Is the market going to shift? When is it going to shift? Yes, the answer is all the above. So my question to you guys is, are we out there just trying to time the market, right? If the market was right, am I going to buy then? If the market changed in pricing, is it the best time to flip? And the answer I have for you is it's never a good time, and it's always the right time, right? When I look at an investment, I don't care about the timing. I don't care if the market is hot. I don't care if the market is dropping. There's always opportunities and ways to make money in any market, right? So the question I ask myself is, A, can I cash flow this bad boy? And B, what are my exit strategies, right? So if you're out there timing the market, if the market changed tomorrow, what are you going to do, right? If the market changed in 2 years, what are you going to do? There's always going to be a need for housing in Central Florida. You have 1,000 people moving to this area per day. So, when you look at migration patterns that are happening in 2020, Florida always ranks in the top 4. So, to me, is all this going to shift? Is all that going to change? Yes. But is it going to be 2010 end of the world? I don't see that. So what do you think there, Rick?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree that the floor is not going to fall out for a couple of reasons. The banks were not as reckless. Buying and lending was not as reckless. And in 2010 was on the heels of a declining market 3, 4, 5 years in a row, as opposed to 10 years in a row of growth. So anyone who is in a financial hardship with unemployment or with furlough or anything else, they've got equity in their house. So they might be selling their house, but they're going to go buy another one. So it's almost a switch cost. And we still haven't recovered from 2010 because the builders stopped on a dime. They stopped building. And the biggest challenge in this market right now is inventory. And so between lack of inventory and, like you said, 1,000 people a day, 1,000 people a day. Now, is this 1,000 people, so really 300 homes? Or are we looking at 1,000 homes when you look at that stat, Tuan? I'm just curious there.
I mean, it's not like a exact number, but
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
when
they
I
don't like shut down the gate, but that's an average.
yeah, 1,000 homes in the Orlando MSA, right? So you talk about Claremont, you talk about Lake County, you talk about Deltona that's seen huge growth. So
Yep.
some of the urban edge communities, some of the outlying areas, they're all coming here, right? And they've been coming here. You know, so economics 101, it's supply and demand, right? Right now, supply is low, demand is still high.
Yep.
What happens when supply goes up? You know, what happens when demand lowers? I don't see the demand dropping. I think interest rates are still there. I think it's still favorable to live in Central Florida. You know, no property, no state income tax, sunshine year round, except for today. But you know, outside of that,
42 degrees in Orlando here. Well, and I
and
love what you are preluding right now, because next week we've got Eddie Workinger from the Expert Real Estate Advisors. You know him from Lake County.
yes, I do.
Uh, and I've heard this from several people that they are going out buying land and developing their own stuff because inventory is so low. Tuan Trinh, who's been our commercial guest on here, he's going out and building and developing. I think your broker is doing the same thing over there by Camping World Stadium, right? They're just saying there's nothing for sale. I'm just going to go buy a lot and go build it myself.
Yeah, it's
So,
Tony Nguyen is the commercial broker, not Tuan Trinh, but that's who I
I say Tuan Trinh. Yeah, yeah.
wrong
Sorry.
guy.
I want to apologize to Tony there, not to Tuan, but apologize to Tony for mixing you up.
Right.
Well, and I love the wisdom you said of, is it a good time to buy? No. Is it a bad time to buy? No. It just depends on you, your ability and willingness to take a risk. Are you conservative? Are you a little more aggressive? And what is that strategy? So let's dive into that a little bit. If someone's been intrigued with getting into the real estate market, I want to stay in the flipping conversation today. Today is going to be about flipping. Do you have any flips going on right now, or do you have one in recent months that you can give us as kind of a testimony to, and walk us through what you found and why it worked for you?
Another loaded question. Yes, I'm closing on one coming up next week. It is all the way down to the bare bones. You know, I think there's opportunity there in terms of the flip side, right? So anytime I look at an investment deal, I want to look at multiple exit strategy, right? If I rehab this house and it doesn't sell for what I want, what is the rental market? If I wholesale it, what does that look like? So you got to have some different investment exit strategies out there. In terms of the supply out there, I mean, it's crazy. I average about one offer per week, right? In sending out offers, all cash offers, things like that. And I analyze anywhere from 3 to 10 properties every day, right? That's how I start my morning. Is I look at all these deals and see what kind of opportunities are out there. When it comes to the investment opportunity, I think everyone is throwing money into real estate, right? So everyone's throwing money into real estate right now because, you know, not to get too technical and talk about the economics, but you know, inflation is there. Federal Reserve went from $4 trillion to $7 trillion all in 1 year, and they're expecting it to go to 10 trillion.
So
So what is
all of the stimulation that we've had as a country and all the PPP as a country, all that's doing is increasing with the cost of milk and cost of gas and cost of houses. The inflation's happening there. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you see is people are trying to throw their money into hard investments, income producing investments. So out of the 5 deals that I wrote this year, I've on the average there was 10 to 15 other offers out there, going anywhere from 25 to $30,000 over list price. So it's competitive as it stands right now. I think that you're going to see a little bit more supply, you know, once some of these forbearance come due.
Yep.
You got 6 months, 180 days. There are a lot of people still hurting out there. There are a lot of people still trying to list their house and, waiting for this COVID thing to end. I don't know if that answers all your questions.
Yeah, I wrote a lot of notes here on the iPad. As we do that, real quick, Richard McKay, he's my go-to home inspector, so he says what's up. Jason Geller is always a fan. Jason, my co-host here today, so Jason's online there, Tuan as well. Now, Jason, a couple weeks ago, was intrigued and wanted to get in the private money lending game. So if you need a private money lender, maybe Jason can be someone you can talk to about that. But let's chunk this down. So if you're listening out there and you want to do this, there's one number I don't have from you, but you said 3 to 10 properties a day you're looking at. Now, is this just online, or are you physically walking in houses?
I mean, a lot of it starts online, right? A lot of it starts online, and then you can analyze deals. I've been in this business long enough that I can look at a zip code. I can even go hyper local into the specific communities. Richmond Heights, I know they sell from 150 to 200 right now. Same thing with Pine Hills. The physical aspect of it, I think we live in a world that we don't physically have to be there anymore. We do closings, we do sight unseen. That's really the norm that we've been seeing.
So you have no problem writing an offer sight unseen if you can see enough data, there's enough tax information, there's enough pictures, the neighborhood. You have no problem going in there.
Absolutely not. And even markets I'm not 100% confident in.
Okay.
We wrote an offer in Merritt Island with one of the best realtors I've ever dealt with, Christine DeAngelis. She sent me a property. I have no idea what a Merritt Island is. I have no idea what I would put on a canal or the seawall was. What we submitted an offer. Unfortunately, we got outbidded, but that's to answer your question. I don't need to see it.
So with that, right, becomes risk. You haven't walked it. You don't know the smell, the feel, the touch. You haven't looked under the hood. Are you putting it in a inspection period, or if you do that, are you pretty much always going to lose because other people are waiving that?
Yeah, I mean, right now there are 0 inspection periods, right? It's the minimum is at least list, and I don't even think you're going to get looked at list. You're going to say, hey, man, like I'm a cash offer. So is everyone else out there, right?
Yep.
People always feel like cash is going to get them what they want, and cash is what's holding them back, right? Rick, if I gave you $10 million today, can you go out and buy me $10 million worth of property? Sure. I think it's got to be a list. It's got to be 0-day inspection. And it's got to be no contingency. And I don't even think that will get you a winner. That's the very minimum of it.
We're gonna get back on that. I do want to get back to the work ethic and takes in terms of what it goes. So looking at up to 50 properties a week to write one. So 2% of the properties that you analyze get an offer. Well, anywhere from 8%, 2% to 8%. How many offers are you writing versus accepted? You've written 5 so far this year. How many have gotten accepted?
I got 1 accepted, but that was the end of towards last year. Okay. I like bigger, meaty deals, right? Everyone has their own investment mindset. I got a guy who does, 56 flips a year, but his margins are a lot lower than mine, right? He's okay with netting $5,000 to $10,000, right? That's not my level of comfort. If I'm going to do a deal, I'm going to spend some time. I'm going to spend my own money. It's got to be a little meatier, right? So. My comfort level is I need to net X amount of dollars, and that number for me is 40,000. Have I made less on certain deals? Have I made more? Absolutely. But that's what really I shoot for me to go out there, put my team to work, put me to work, put my money to work.
Well, what I like about that is you give yourself a margin of error. If you go out there and you do see that sight unseen, no inspection, and you've got mold throughout the walls, and it might eat into some of your profit, and you only make 25,000 instead of 40, not what you wanted, yet you're still walking away with at least some sort of profit. So one of the tips out there, if you're listening as an investor or would like to become an investor, is choose your model. Are you going to do 1 a month, 1 a quarter, and with that, choose your income? How much time do you actually spend on site? I've seen you swing some sledgehammers, but I don't think I've seen you with a paintbrush in your hand. So you want to go out there for the demo and then you hand it over? Or talk to me about your actual involvement with your flips versus what you outsource.
I mean, I would tell you as a beginner investor or flipper, you got to know your stuff, right? So I think at the first one, I was out there painting, overseeing the crew, learning certain aspects of the business. As you get more comfortable with the people you work with, do you really need to be out there painting, right? Is that the highest and best use of your time, right? If you're going to hire somebody and you trust them to do the work, then there's no point of micromanaging them, right? So to answer your question, my next flip that I'm at, I pay in weekly visits just to see if there's any troubleshooting or things that I need to resolve.
Yep.
Those are the answers. Those are the things that vendors can't do, right? They can't say, "Hey, man, like, do I need to move this wall?" Or when they run into trouble or issues, finding solutions is tough for them. They're more as in, "Hey, man, I need you to paint this wall blue." And
Point and
this
shoot. Yeah, they're going to point and shoot. Do as they're told. They're not going to make a decision without your input or without your discretion for it there.
Right.
So what I'm hearing is you be involved, yet it doesn't mean you could show up, even if you wanted to be hyper involved, show up every day on your way to work and every day on the way home from work just to check in on it, not to micromanage. And that's even overkill, but that might be for the overzealous helicopter flipper, right?
Yeah, for me, I mean, there are some sites that I haven't even been to, right? There are some homes that I haven't even been to.
Yep.
I think that you just got to trust. Uh, you got to trust the process, and you got to trust the people and the people that you hired to actually do the job. So yeah, I like to see the progress and see where it's been and where it's going to go. I like the vision. So yeah, I'll stick my head in there every once in a while, but to micromanage them or oversee them, I don't think anyone enjoys that.
Um, which I appreciate. So Jason does have a question. Is there an optimal time of the year to flip a house? Does seasonality play effect with house flipping? What would you say if someone wanted to do just one this year? What would be the optimal time for them to get in the flip game?
So there's never a good time, right? And there's always a good time. And I think that it's all about the hardest part of this game is finding the deal, right? Life happens year round. People die, people get divorced, and it's not like they only die in the winter, right? So to answer your question, I think that you just consistently have to look at it and look for deals out there. Same way we look for buyers and sellers, but this is just another avenue. When
Yep.
you go out there, you start turning rocks. You never know what you're going to find underneath. But yeah, there's no optimal time.
No
It's
optimal time.
always
Well, and you went back to your coined answer of there's never a good time, is always a good time. It's when the numbers make sense for you. So let's take a look. And if you're watching this live or on YouTube after the fact, and you can see the screen, Tuan, I do need you to change your color when you get this offline. Change this font so I can read what this says. I am red green colorblind, so if you're listening, you're not missing a thing. There's red font on green grass, but essentially this says, I believe, flip game 327. And you netted $46,000. Is that right? Did I say that correctly?
so the reason the font doesn't work is I did some kind of cool animation slide thing, PowerPoint thing, and it's supposed to pop up. So
Got it. So I didn't go live. That's on me then. That's on me.
you ruined my PowerPoint. Anyway, 327 is the net, what I've netted over all seven flips. And if you break it down, you take 7 divided by 327, that gives you 46,000.
Got it.
So I made a lot of money on some deals. I didn't make a lot of money on some deals, but on the average, I made 46,000 net. A lot of people are going to throw the gross number at you to excite you, but there's still $40,000 worth of materials and labor you had to pay for. So I just want to be transparent and say, hey man, like I made 46,000 after the dust cleared.
And that's 2020.
That's over. So I joined National Real Estate 2016. So in 4 years, I purchased 13 homes.
Okay. 4 years, 13 homes. What is your goal for 21?
21. I've always wanted to do 5 flips, 5 buy and holds per year.
Okay.
So 10.
There you go. I love it. Well, and what it sounds like, and I'm going to go back to numbers because I'm an analytical math guy. 50 properties gives you one offer. 5 offers gets you one deal. That's analyzing up to 250 properties to get one deal.
Yep.
And if you're looking to get 10, then for you, you've got to figure out, Tuan or consumer, listen to this, are you analyzing 2,500 properties this year in order to get your 10? And that's the work ethic. And I think a lot of people, they watch HGTV or they see this slide here and they're going, wow, that sounds like a really great thing. I want to play that game. Yet it's a job, and it's a commitment, and it's consistency, and it's when you see something, you can go and you can move quick. You don't have that gun shy. You don't have the urgency. Someone calls you up, said, I've got a house in Merritt Island. You say the numbers work, do it, right? And having that almost, the locked and loaded. You're ready to pull the trigger. I do have a question coming up from our home inspector with Pillar to Post, Jeff Mackey team. Do the flips get inspected prior to purchasing? So if you're doing it sight unseen, are you going out there and doing an inspection, or at all are you getting a third-party home inspection company either when you buy it or before you sell it?
I think for the novice or the beginner flippers and investors out there that doesn't know the ins and outs of it, I always recommend a home inspection, right? So, at the beginning, did I do inspections? Yes, I did, right? Because you kind of want to know like what the big ticket items cost and
Yep.
what the big ticket items you're going to have to replace. As I've moved through more and more deals and more rehabs, no, I don't do it, right? So I know that a roof costs X amount of dollars. I know if I had to change out an electrical panel, it's 15 to 1,700 bucks, right?
Yep.
So the physical aspects of houses aren't the surprise. I think it's like the back end stuff that usually comes up, and you're like, oh man, I didn't see that coming. So when it comes to things in the house and things I need inspected, I personally don't do it, but I know that there are investors, flippers out there that do.
So, I mean, to your point, is going, if you feel good walking around a house and you understand how a 4-point inspection is and things to look at, and then maybe you do it. However, if you're not confident, then go get yourself a professional who knows what they're doing, who looks at them until you gain your own confidence. I want to go back to your number. $40,000 per flip is your number. You're averaging more than that. When you listen to a lot of, read books or listen to other podcasts with the general rule of thumb, they're telling you, buy the house, do your repairs, and do that for under 75% of the after repair value. And if the phrase is the ARV. Are those numbers working, or are you saying, don't worry about percentages right now, figure out your profit number and work off of that?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of books out there, and depending on what you read, they say it's ARV minus 70% minus repairs. If you go by that formula, I don't think you'll ever be able to land something. So to me,
Say that again for people who might be taking notes or driving. They're saying whatever you could sell it for after it's flipped, that's the after repair value. Multiply that by 70%. That's what you're going to make minus whatever repairs you've got, and that's the number that you offer. That's the winning formula. And your suggestion or your experience says that's a formula that will not win in this competitive market.
Yeah, I think that it's not going to work because it's too much competition out there. The supply is so low that I don't think anyone's going to give you a second look. $100,000 house. You buy it. The 70% of 100,000 is 70 grand. If it needs 20 grand of work, it's 50 grand. So
half off.
Half off, right? So is there anybody out there giving you half off on houses today? I mean, I don't see it. If you guys see it, give me a call, but I don't see it.
Well, and let's do that little station identification right now. If someone wants to give you a call to ask you more questions, what is the number that they can reach you at, so we can just let people stay in touch with you, either because they have a deal that you might want or because they've got a question they want to ask you specifically. So go ahead.
So 407-928-2879, 407-928-2879. Yeah, and the goal is to, kind of help more people invest in real estate, whether it's buy and hold or flipping. There's two mindsets out there. You spelled my name wrong.
Yeah, I was doing it fast, trying to listen. You started throwing the number out there, and I've got you. I know how to spell Trent. I'm good.
So I'd love to collaborate on more deals with you or help you along that way. I'm a big I think there are two mindsets out there, right? So it's a scarcity mindset where I got to hold all the information and all these things are my secrets and my experience, blah blah blah. My feeling is I feel like it's an abundance type of mentality, right? There's enough fruit out there for everyone, and if I can help you along the way, hopefully one day you can help me.
Yeah, no, I love that, which is a testament because we're in this market, Orlando market, and you're sharing all your secrets, and maybe I'll compete with you one day, and that's okay because there's enough to go around out there. I want to talk percentage wise because again, the analytical people out there, $40,000. What is your average price point of your 7 units, of your 7 properties that you bought?
That's a great question, Rick. I've never done the average. I know that I've out of all seven, it's $1.3 million worth of real estate. So what is that? About 200 grand.
Just shy of 200. Yep. Okay.
So I've done flips from a $400,000 flip in Windermere, which was my first one, and then I've also done 70,000 Pine Hill flips. So
Okay.
there's not a rhyme or reason. There's a it goes back to, is this a good time? Is it a bad time? Is this the price point that I want? Is it not? It's just my gut told me that there's some opportunity there and I can make money there.
Well, and 200,000. Just curious, is that when you buy it or the ARV?
When I buy it, the ARV is closer to like 1.7.
Okay.
So when you take 1.7 and you subtract 1.3,
That's your
it's
327.
the net
Yep.
of that 300,000 that we were talking about.
So if we wanted to put a percentage around it, just at least as a baseline to bounce off of it, your average buy is 20, your average income is 46, you are at 23%. So if you buy it for 100, it might be you're making 23,000. If you buy it for 200, you're making 46,000. Maybe the one in Windermere that you bought for 400, you made 86,000. Is that as simple as that, or does it never quite work out that way? Or when I say that, does that sound pretty true?
It really never works out that way, right? So the house that I made the most money off of, I only paid 100 grand for it, right? And it sold for 200. The Windermere flip I bought for 350, and my exit was 425. So yeah, I don't look at it in terms of averages, and I know you love that, but I never average out, what each house cost and what I make
Yeah.
off.
Well, I'm looking for the analytical people. If they look at it, how do they know it's a good deal? You're saying forget average percentages and just say, what would you like to make in profit? Can you do it on this house? Number one. Number two, if you can't, can you make cash flow if you have to hold on to it, make this thing a rental? And what does that look like? Have you ever done wholesaling? You start doing a project, you realize it's more than you wanted, you want out, and then you end up just wholesaling it to somebody else. Have you pulled that bail button?
I have not pulled that button because it's not what I would want to do. So yeah, wholesaling. I'm not going to cross it out. It's just not where I want to go with it.
Okay.
So my two avenues is a, can I flip it? Ideally, I want to hold everything. Right. That's not the sexy part of real estate investing, but that's really where you make most of your wealth. Right. Is the whole side of it. The flip side will give you enough capital to go buy another hole. So
Okay.
if I could keep all the flips, I would have, but it just didn't work out that way.
So flip it to gain capital, hold to build wealth, right?
Correct.
We've got 3 or 4 minutes left, and that's taking borrowed time. Yet I think it's extremely important to give out that quick repair formula. Now we know that it's not going to be exact, and we know that there's always going to be some surprises. Yet you had a pretty good just blanket that if it's light cosmetic work, which is paint, floors, and that's about it, you're looking at about $10 a square foot. Did I paraphrase that correctly?
Yeah, so there's a little spreadsheet that I use. I think it would help a lot of people at the very beginning in terms of if they don't know what things cost. But yeah, a light flip, it's $10 per square foot. So if a house is 1,000 square feet and it's $10, it should roughly cost you $10,000. What I found is materials cheap as it's cheap out there, right? Everything comes from China. Things have been rising a little bit, with roofing, steel, metal, all that.
Lumber,
Has
yep.
rise, but a lot of that's inflation, a lot of that's supply, blah, blah, blah. But a good formula to have is 25 to 35% of your costs should be materials, and the rest of it is labor.
Okay, 30% cost, 70% labor. So find some good partners out there that you can trust that can keep those numbers in check there. So 10% I'm throwing on what we call some lipstick. I'm just putting it, making it smell good and look good, but not doing any walls, not adding in new cabinets, not putting any of the major roof or HVAC. Give me the next tier. What comes next?
Then I think the next tier is 20%, right? That's if you have to replace a major item, major ticket
20
item.
$20 a square foot, you mean?
Yeah, so we're $20 a square foot. So if you had to replace like one roof or one AC, what does that look like? If you had to replumb a house, what does that look like? So
Okay.
I think it's one of those. It can't be both of those. But if you had to do one of those, that's like a $20 a square foot thing.
Okay.
Um, the next one's $30 a square foot, right? So $30 if you had to replace two of those, right? What if you had to replace the AC and the roof? And then your massive rehab got, you need kitchen, you need cabinets, you need bathrooms, blah, blah, blah. I put that in the $40-$45 a square foot range.
Okay. Where do you like to be? If you were to say this is where I've got my most profit margins, are you in that 20 to 30 a square foot that needs more extensive work, or do you like to get in, get out?
Um, everyone's going to want to get in and get out and make money quick, right? But that it doesn't always pan out that way. So to answer your question, I just want a deal that there's meat on it, that I can dice it up. So there's not I don't box myself in. And I think there are a lot of analytical people out there, right? And for me, I'm very opposite, right? I feel like analysis paralysis. I'm not that guy. Like
Good.
people that will dissect things all the way down to the cent. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that will jump in 2 feet and then, make it work somehow or
Say,
another.
Dan, that's cold and that's shallow. Yeah. Have
Yep.
you, and we're on borrowed time, but I need to ask the question. Have you been way off, burnt, lost money? And if so, what lessons did you learn that you can now share or not repeat yourself?
Knock on wood, I haven't lost money on any deal as of yet, right? I think the one of my biggest learning lessons that I did learn was 2019. I bought two houses in College Park, right? Bought them in College Park, old house, one owner, been there 190 years, whatever that number is. That was their first house. They decided to sell it, total regut. So I did the Burr method. Are you familiar with what Burr is?
I am. Yeah, well, we mentioned that I think in a previous episode, but buy, rehab, rent out, refinance, and do it again, right?
Both of those Burr methods, right? So did my calculations, number work, did a little rehab, refied it out. Next year, taxes become due. Taxes went from $1,000 all the way to $7,000, and I was like, "Holy crap!" So what did I miss out on? I missed out on the what is it? Protect your home, 3% property tax changes.
The portability tax, or the yeah, I got you.
Yep, and then homestead was removed. So I would say if you're gonna do a buy and hold, if you're gonna do Burr, no, you have to calculate that future taxation or the present taxation, not what's just an MLS. So when you're out there, you're banging walls and you're painting and things like that. Those are some of the things that you don't calculate, and that's probably one of my biggest lessons that I've learned. Not so much the physical things in a house, but like just the back end stuff that you got to button up a little bit.
Great point. I love it. Great information. We could do this all day, but we are on borrowed time. Everyone else out there, hey, Tuan, thanks for jumping on and sharing some of that wisdom. And I hope you can join us for some future episodes that we've got, because we're going to keep this going. We've actually got a hold seminar coming up in April. So maybe I'll have you jump on and be a guest for part of that hold workshop for those different books. And anything we can do for you, Tuan, please let us know. And viewers or listeners, reach out to Tuan. Tuan, one more time, what's that number to text you on?
407-928-2879.
Boom, there it is. Until then, we've got next week, we've got Eddie Workinger with Real Estate Experts. Eddie has a real estate team. They sold over 300 homes last year. He has stopped doing that. He is solely focused on building the empire through development. He started a construction company. So if you want to learn about that big vision and scalability, then tune in next week. Other than that, we will see you then. Thanks for listening, Tuan. Thanks again, and everyone have a great week. Stay warm.
Thanks for having me.